Let's do it. How you doing?
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Who would like to say the prayer?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us, this beautiful day today that you've given us. And we want you to have your hand on this meeting as we talk about and discuss what we need to do for the city of Bevil Oaks. We want to also thank you and have you touch the people that are going through times right now that are unspoken, and they know who they are. And just please lay a hand on them and help them to get through the troubles and the worries and the concerns that they have. And also, Doug, which is not here, help him. We keep him in our prayers. I keep him in my prayers every day. We ask that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
All right, before we take roll call, I'm going to ask all of City Council, if for some reason you're going to be absent or late, please let Sabrina or myself know. So that way, you know, if somebody asks me, hey, you know, where's Stephanie? We already know. So it's, again, making it a little bit more transparent so we all know what's going on. And this is not directed to you, Lonnie. But this is just something that's going to help me, too, to keep track of everything that's going on. So let's do roll call, starting with Bud.
Bud Marandino, Ward 1.
Jim Wright, Ward 3.
Dr. Lonnie Cleveland, Ward 2.
Sherry Mitchell, Mayor.
Roger Manette, Ward 1.
Jeff Thibodeau, Ward 3.
All right, the only person that's absent is Stephanie. She had prior commitments, and she has an excused absence. Any conflict of interest? Any citizen comments?
None, Mayor.
Any citizens?
No citizens.
I think they all.
Well, normally we don't have meetings
I'm checking
in
Facebook.
December.
Nobody's there either.
Normally we don't have meetings in December, so it's to be expected. All right, next up on the agenda is our review, approved consent items. Can I have a motion to approve our consent items as written?
I motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So who first it, who seconded it, what am I supposed to put down here?
Lonnie first. Jeff second. All approved. All S said aye. Up for review, approved on our action item is to discuss approval giving the mayor and or an additional council person to negotiate the ability to enter into agreement subject to final approval by the city council to upgrade the city's website. I'm going to pass this over to Jeff. He was part of the Zoom meeting regarding the updating of the website. And before he starts, just to let you guys know, any cost to update the website is going to be coming out of the ARPA funds. Last month's meeting, we all agreed that any ARPA funds to be spent will be approved by City Council before those funds are spent. Go ahead, Jeff.
The one question, though, of looking at the presentation here, there is an annual budget, and it was the one-time expense, I would assume, comes out of the ARCA fund, but then there's still a fairly significant sum that's an annual charge to operate and maintain that system that over some time won't come out of that budget. We'll have to eventually go to the operating costs. So that just needs to be kept in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, anything you do that has a one-time expense on it, you need to make sure you understand what the ongoing expenses may or may not be of those things.
Mm-hmm.
It could be something I do or anything.
Sure. It's just like the restroom. It's one thing to have somebody donate building a restroom, but then you've got to maintain it on daily, weekly, monthly basis. So,
Yep.
you know, it's one of those things where you just got to weigh the pros and the cons. So I was invited into this meeting. I didn't set it up, but I was invited into this meeting, and I'm glad I was. I have established and maintained several websites, some for DuPont and some for private, and I have a little bit of knowledge, and it's very limited now because of the updates in the technology. This company is called Civic Plus. They specifically build municipal websites, and I didn't really know what to expect. This is the very first company that I've sat in on a Zoom with, and it was very impressive. Very, very impressive. Whenever they began to go over some of the high level functionality of their designs, and there's in your packet there's a list at the very back of it, I believe. There's a list of some of their websites that they built and maintain. It's the very last page. Of course it is. It's the website examples. I would encourage you to just go and look at these websites and compare it to what we have. I've only been involved in our city website over the last probably 9 months. I just volunteered to help Sabrina, maybe take a load off of her. And our website is powered by GoDaddy, which is one of the very first websites I ever built, probably 30 years ago, was a GoDaddy website. It's very clunkish. There's not a lot of modern features on it, and there's a lot to be said about updating our site. It was actually mentioned during our meeting in January. It's one of the items that was on the bucket list. I don't think it placed in the top 10, but it was certainly a concern. And the functionality is such that it would take, I think, a big burden off of the office staff when you compare it to what they do now. Let's just say as simple as a boiled water notice. There are several steps that the office takes during a boiled water notice in order to set out the signs, to announce to everybody, keep them posted of what's going on, when the boiled water notice is lifted, and all of those things is time consuming. And I mean, it may be just a small thing, but that's just the very first thing that comes to mind. This gentleman took us through a scenario of a boiled water notice, and he clicked on add an event, he clicked on the calendar, he put the heading in, he included start time, stop time, and the notification, and then there's another body of it that you can put in the details, and then he hit submit. And that's all he did. The citizens that are part of that website had already gone to the website and declared how they wanted to be contacted versus either a phone call, a text message, or an email. So those notifications had already been set up by the citizens. So there's a bit of a training going on here, but we do have everybody's email address because anybody who has a water account has submitted their email address and a telephone number. So depending on the citizen's selection, they were either texted or they were emailed or they were called. And that notification showed up on their text as boiled water notice, and then there was a link to it. When you click on that link, it brings up all the information that was also put in at the same time. So one-stop shop. Everybody has the same information, and everybody has the opportunity to be notified any way they want to be notified. And the office staff puts it in one time. It starts, it'll end. If you put an end time on it, then you won't have to worry about it being left up for too many days. That's just one. That's just one of the things. You can go down this presentation that's in your book and see a lot more. One of the biggest things is the search feature. So right on the main page, we have the opportunity of putting a search bar. And let's just say somebody wanted to know something about vicious animals. Well, in the search bar, you type in whatever it is you want to search, and when you hit the return button, it goes through and brings up every ordinance, every resolution, every meeting minute, every discussion that's ever been had that we have record of, and searchable link. I mean, it's an actionable item. So if they wanted to know anything about how many boiled water notices, you put boiled water notice into search, and it brings up every time we've had a boiled water notice, the reason for it, all the ordinances, all the proposals, everything that's ever been mentioned about it. So it's searchable, which we are far from on our current site. So again, this is our first one. I did not initiate this, but I'm happy to be a part of it. Is there any specific questions about this that I could potentially answer?
Go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead.
I would think that we ought to get clear on what is it we're trying to accomplish with this before we search for it. In other words, what are the benefits of having a new and improved website? I mean, having nice bells and whistles and all that's one thing, but if it doesn't put us pounds out the pipe, as my old buddy Thad used to say, if it doesn't help us do that, it's not a cheap
No, it's not.
update. I mean, the initial expense wouldn't be bad, but the ongoing expense could be. If it's going to save, it's either got to save us money, give us a better quality of communication with the citizens, or provide information that's valuable that's not being provided, easier access to stuff like permits. Okay, can somebody call and say, you know, I need a permit for, say, check the website. And they can go and their website will walk them through it and they can fill out the permits and mail it in.
And accept payment.
Those are the kind of things that I think that we probably ought to think about before we look at a website. That way we could maybe put a dollar value on
That's good.
some of that.
That's good. So in response to your inquiry about one of the benefits, what are we looking for? We've heard many times over the last year, I didn't hear about that. It's a city event and I didn't have any information on it. How am I supposed to know that the city's doing this? I don't know anything about it. Well, our main source of communication is Facebook. And not everybody has Facebook. Not everybody has the means to, or even the will to go on to Facebook. However, everybody who has a water account has got an email and a telephone.
So if following your example of a boil water notice, right now what happens is that there's a leak there in front of Kathy's house, and Kathy seems to break water more than anybody else, so we have more leaks down there. I'm picking on.
Thank you, Kathy.
But say it's down there on DeVita, and so it's going to require an isolation of that line to fix it. So, you know, they're going to come back and say, we've got to valve the water out. Well, Sabrina's going to know what houses are going to be affected, and she's going to have to call out or initiate a call out. I don't know how she does it. I don't know if she goes in and pushes these 12 houses buttons and it gives a call out. And those are not always the same, but if I can do that, and then come back in 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is later, and say the boil water notice cleared, you know, that's saving her time, but I don't know how much time she spends now having to do that.
Well, call-outs are not exactly, you just check a box that says something.
It's
You have to
quite
type out your
complicated.
stuff, you have to go through all the individual, like, we have them grouped, but we have to get the group and then send it out, and we have to review it before we submit it.
Yeah,
It's a little bit time consuming.
In this example on the website, I don't know that it would be any different than that unless you got 50 isolation valves and you know which one it is, and you punch that in and it sends it out, but I don't think that would even work, so. You can make the system work, but I don't think repairing a water leak is that simple.
Right.
In terms of isolating, it's, you only want to isolate is minimum amount, so anyway, that's just an example.
Sure.
Like I said before we started the meeting, I think that website is really old-fashioned and it's hard to maneuver around in.
It's hard to update.
But I don't like to spend that kind of
It's
money
outdated.
unless I can see some payback.
Well, that's good. We should probably start that fact finding.
And what we're looking to seek is basically approval on a dollar amount to be spent out of the ARPA funds, not necessarily approving this particular company, but we have to get approval to be able to spend ARPA funds.
I was
It's
noticing
something-
on here on page 7 and 8, does list a lot of good features that this website can allow: advanced calendaring,
Yes.
meeting and agendas, advanced search in your website, news and announcements. A lot of good information like what we're talking about it will support all those things.
Integration with social media as well.
Yes. And even the rental of our buildings. All
Well,
that can be
also-
put on there as well.
Yes.
The meetings, the Zoom meetings and things like that.
Oh, yes, yes.
That's another thing.
We currently cannot host a live streaming on our website. Unfortunately, we've tried and we just can't host it.
Yeah.
And
I'm not against it, I'm just not sure that we know everything we want on it yet.
you're right.
And,
It's also modular.
in bidding contracts in the industry, that contractors love hard money contracts, because they know we can't design. It's gonna change, and that's where they're gonna make the money. My concern would be the same thing here, that we agreed to, $38.50 to redesign this, and we're into this and say, oh, yeah, that's great, but if we could tweak this, we could do this, and they said, oh, yeah, we can do that.
Well, it is
That'd be
modular.
another $380,
And the agreement's for 1 year,
Yeah.
so you're not locked into long-term.
So the better upfront, the contract, it's only a year contract?
Yes.
It is, it's a 1-year contract. We already know what the second year will be if we don't change anything. But it's also 48% off of the first year. But as I mentioned, it's modular, so if there's something that we decide that we don't need, we could drop. If there's something we need extra, they could add on to it. It's all like a cafeteria plan.
Yeah, on page 18 and especially on page 19 lists a lot of the factors of the price for what you would want to accomplish.
And it will allow us to do our permitting
Yes.
and payments
Through that side.
Yeah.
through that website.
That's perfect.
I mean, it's,
I think it's worth pursuing.
yeah, we need to look into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely. So moving forward, my thing is, do we have other vendors that's actually, are we reaching out to other vendors to see as far as pricing?
We
know-
have to.
Okay, yes, most definitely.
Yeah,
So,
we have to.
I mean, is there, because I see that they're based out of Kansas or somewhere. I like to spend my money at home. So if we can take into consideration trying to find someone in the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, personally, as a citizen, I mean, I would feel better,
One of my questions is would we be allowed to allow contractors to have their company names on our website for people that do business in this area and charge them
Possible.
to go to the fee of the website?
I mean, it's possible.
And
It's not
just
a
find out-
module.
As long as it's not an endorsement.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
Find
an
out
endorsement.
as far as the legalities of it.
Pretty much like a Yellow Pages. Hey, here are our
Right,
local businesses.
We have to find out the
That's
legalities of it, yeah.
legal pad guy.
I mean, but that is a great idea to generate, once we get, this ironed out, if we have any other vendors that want to actually.
That's money back in our pocket.
Correct. Yeah, but again, like I said, we have to find out the legalities of it.
It
That was my only.
included, it included the training, the upfront training for all the new features, and then it does allow us to maintain it. And of course, they don't charge for that, and there's a lot, but like, to your point, we definitely need to have a comparison on this. This is our first one. We just need everybody to know that this is kind of what we're looking for. It was definitely on the bucket list, and it's taken a while for us to get some legs under it.
Does anybody know what the current cost of our existing website is?
It's mainly the cost of GoDaddy.
GoDaddy is $300 and something dollars
Yeah,
or so.
about
It's not
$300.
much.
A year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you
We're
get
gonna
what
go
you
to
pay
8
for.
grand, 7 grand,
Yeah.
8,105.
Yeah, but see, GoDaddy is nothing. They don't offer you anything.
Well, that's, it goes back to what can we get for it? I don't mind spending money if I can make money.
Okay, anything else? Okay, I had some points here, and, okay, Lonnie hit one of them. We only got one bid. So, I mean, I think it's fair to go out and get other comparison bids, is comparing apples to apples, and, what we need. Do we need that? Do we need a Cadillac, or can we get by with a Volkswagen? I mean, what do we need? That'll fit and still do what we need to do. Jim covered what is our usage out here of our website now. And we don't have a way to clock that.
We
So,
GoDaddy doesn't give us the data.
It does.
do we have a way to, we've been
I
told
can't
there's not
log
a way
into it
to.
now because it's a two-part system and Sabrina's not here.
Okay.
But yeah, it shows we've had 1,800 views in the last 30 days.
Oh, really?
Okay, well, Sabrina said there wasn't any way to do it, and Heather reaffirmed that, and
Can you log into it now?
I didn't know.
Yeah, it's
So,
in there.
That's something you need to put on your list.
So it's
when
got
you
a
log
counter.
into it.
Yeah, I'll do that while I'm writing all these.
There's an analytics part of it.
Anyway, so that was a question I had.
Actually,
Do we
web
have,
page update is already on there, sir.
do we have 27,000 hits on it, or do we have 4? You know what I mean? So
1,800 in the last.
depending on what you need, do you drive 100,000 miles a year, do you drive 5 miles a year? Kind of like that, as to what you need. Okay. The other thing is this was initiated on our thing as a consideration, discussion, and approval, okay? So I don't think that it should be approved until we get a little bit more feet on the ground in order to talk about it, discuss, go out see what else is out there. We have another council member that can be involved that represents Ward 2.
What about just approving the dollar amount?
Well, you've said that about 4 times, and this is the reason why that okay, like if you're gonna go buy a car, you get a pre-approval at the credit union if you're gonna finance it, if you're not gonna pay cash for it. People go down there and they get a pre-approval, okay? So you can go get pre-approved, which is kind of what you're saying. Let's get pre-approved for how much we can spend on this website. I don't think that has anything to do because we don't even know what cars are out there. So we don't even know what we're gonna run across. We're buying a used car, so we don't even know what kind we're gonna run across. If we're approved for $6,000, then we're gonna be looking at the $6,000 models. But if something comes up there for 2, why don't we get some prices first? What is the purpose, what is the actual purpose in approving a dollar amount tonight? Why would we need to do that?
Well, anything that's gonna come out of ARPA funds, irregardless of whether we approve this or not, ARPA funds can only be spent upon approval of city council.
I
That's the
understand
only
that.
thing I'm saying about approving a dollar amount.
Well-
Either way, we've got to make a decision.
But if
and
we
go
approve it
forward.
next meeting,
This is a company that Barbara and I looked at 2.5 years ago. We never followed through. Had we followed through, we wouldn't have this discussion
Yeah,
tonight. We
but
would have already moved on.
if y'all have done that, then you could maybe answer some of these questions. What was the purpose, the benefit, the deliverables that
Well,
you
the
were
purpose
looking
is
to
to
obtain
provide
from
more
that?
transparency to the citizens. We can actually put our financials up there.
I
We
don't
can
care
put all our
about the
minutes up there.
financials.
But these are things that the citizens care about. They want to know this type of stuff. You were asking me about public information. A lot of this stuff is going to be on the website, which will, they won't have to come to the office and ask for this stuff. It's already there.
Fill out
If
a
Kathy
form
wants
to
to
get
look at
public
financials,
information,
it's
we gotta
already
pay
there.
the lawyer to get it, and then we gotta go back and
Well, I
do
mean,
that.
there's
Some
some
of these
things
websites, you can fill it out on the
online. You can do the
website, and
public.
Okay, but let me
information
finish, I
online.
got about a couple more.
Can
Okay.
I actually,
Uh-huh.
are you are agreeing that we do need an upgrade on our city website, right?
Well, now that he said that we've had 1,800, before, I didn't know if we had 4 people that looked at the website, because I ain't ever looked at it.
Right.
So I didn't know if we had 4 people that looked at it, or we had 400,000 that looked at it. I didn't know what the usage was, and I was only going by the information that was presented to me, which there is no counter on that, okay? There's no way to have a counter on that. Jeff just brought up that there's a counter on there, and that we had a gazillion, people that looked at the website this time. What they were looking for, and were they just scanning through? I don't know. Did they get information off of it? I don't know.
It was mostly for ordinances,
Yeah.
because that's
And-
really the only functionality we have on it.
Yes.
Events.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or events,
So-
Yeah, and that's if it's kept up to date.
What are, I go by, what are other cities our size doing?
That's-
Okay? Now, I talked to the city mayor of China today, okay? He said, well, I've never been on our city website. And so he said, but, I do all the electrical work out there, every bit of it, okay? And he said, we operate different than y'all do, but we also have between 500 and 1,000 connections out there for their water. They're quite a bit larger. They have a lot more tax base than we have. They got ranches out there and a lot more area and a lot more tax money, a lot more businesses. They got a lot more. China's got a lot more than we have. Crawfish farms. They got all kinds of stuff out there. So they have a lot more money than what we have. And they don't have them. That doesn't mean we don't need to have one. I'm just trying to go by cities that I didn't have time, but just to ask him. I haven't asked Nome. I haven't asked Sire Lake. I don't know what they have, but I can find out. And I know Beaumont has a pretty extraordinary thing. I noticed this company does Dallas. I don't think we compare to Dallas. Out here. I mean, that's a big time.
No,
place.
but their bread and butter is civic. And to
And they
your
do
point, you
bunch
called
of
China. If China called us and we're the only two comparing, well, I don't have anything. Well, I don't have anything either, so we may not need it. So,
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
you're right.
yeah.
I mean, it's so maybe shop around and look, see what Kirbyville's got, see what they got. We could probably do that
Well,
online.
I still go back to figuring out what's the benefit of us upgrading.
That's
gonna
right.
be. And I mean, I could come up with some. Now, can we put a value on it? Doesn't have to be a hard dollar value, but a value. And, let's see who can do that the best, but just
The
agreeing to spend
$3,000.
is like buying a pig and poke. I don't know what I'm getting.
I agree.
Yeah, if we agreed right now to spend $3,000 and then we come find out there's just a great one out there for $3,200, well, guess what, man? We're back to drawing.
Back to the
board, man.
table.
We can't do it again because so it'd be better to know what the prices were before we went out and did it. As far as addressing the boil water notices, which is stepping on your toes, when we have a water line bust or something, well, Sabrina and them do a call out, and it's a specific call out to that area that's affected by the boil water. And we also put out physical signs for the residents to see. And, well, I just said they do a call out to that area. Now, I mean, that right there, you can have all the websites you want to doing something, but that's not people aren't gonna go to the website to find out,
No, it goes to them.
No, that's not gonna change. I mean,
Yeah.
that's still gonna
You
be.
get an alert,
They'll still receive an alert.
signs gotta be stuck in the ground at the end of the
This
street.
website
Yeah.
will also
Yes.
update the citizens every time the
People see,
website is
you know.
updated, changed, added to. That was part of what the website was giving the citizens to. So every time the girls do something on the websites, the citizens get an automatic
I
notice.
mean,
Or you, yeah, either way.
And consider the younger adults that are moving into this area now, they're more of want to go to a website to look up all information.
Is it gonna be in Spanish? Because we may need to
Sure.
consider
It
that
can be.
too.
And
It
it's-
can be.
And one thing I read, it's ADA compliant as well. So
Well, that's
that's a
what-
major thing, I mean.
I didn't even realize that was a thing.
Yes.
I did
Mayor
not even
brought
know that
that
was a
up.
thing.
Yeah, well, it's also in the
Say that
proposal.
what they proposed is?
Well, it's in the proposal in
I didn't read through the
itself.
whole thing,
Yeah.
and it said,
ADA compliance
So
is,
this-
actually, it's enforced by the Department of Justice.
Yeah, so if, you know.
I mean,
if
there ain't no
someone- if
helicopter
someone
landing out
actually-
here because we don't have that. Man, I mean, we don't, I mean, I'm just gonna say, we don't, there's a lot of things that we don't have out here that are
Right,
not
correct.
ADA compliant.
Right, so it's our duty as, you know,
protect the citizens.
yes, to protect the citizens and, you know, ourselves in these terms. So with that being said, you know, it's our duty to cover, you know, what's been overlooked, or maybe it's been, if it was intentional or unintentional, you know, if we know about it, we gotta do our best to try to fix it, you know?
We don't have the money to do it,
Yeah,
ADA
That's
part.
understand.
We don't
That's
have the money,
understand.
that's 40 grand right there, just to put a spot in.
Okay.
Anyway.
Call the vote.
I'm gonna make a motion that we table this until the next meeting and maybe gather some more information and come back and discuss it when we have maybe have a full council and maybe have Lonnie's,
All right, so we have one motion to table. Who's in favor of tabling this till next month?
is there
a second.
A second. All right. All in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Any opposed? All
You
right.
you know, in the meantime, I challenge everybody to
Do something.
go look at our website and go look at a couple of these.
I need to look at it.
I looked
I'd
at a
like-
couple of these on my phone, and that's, you need to get on your computer to do it.
And that's something else is the mobile compatibility that they mentioned. They build that into the programming, because you're exactly right. When you go to a site that's not mobile friendly, it just blows up and there's nothing you can do. And how many people are on tablets and phones now?
Well,
All right,
part
so the
of,
motion carries to table this until January's meeting. Okay. All right, let's move on to our next item, which is consideration, discussion, and approval for the quotes to receive replacing the garage door at the water plant. Can I have a motion?
Motion?
Second?
well,
You gotta have a motion
You
and a
gotta have a motion
second
and
and
a
then
second.
discussion.
yeah, okay.
Who's gonna do the second?
I'll second. Even
All
though I
right,
don't
any
really
discussion?
In keeping with what we've talked about during our budgeting process around spending money, this was something that was actually, has already been approved, the actual door, because it was in the budget for this year. We agreed that was one of the line items I had in the budget. What I've done is we've gone out and got 2 bids on actually putting that door in. And since this is not a pump failure and I gotta fix it now, is something that I wanted to go ahead and let the group think about which one to do, because it doesn't matter to me. In other words, I'm trying to be
Who's the
transparent.
second bid from, Jim?
Huh?
I just see Action Overhead. Is there a second bid?
That one right there.
Overhead? Okay.
Overhead door.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's 2 of them. They're both pretty close.
Okay.
My recommendation is the Action overhead door. They defined a little bit more detail in what they did. I had a whole lot of trouble getting overhead door to get me this bid after they came out.
They're real bad.
I've had work done by them, and they do fine work, but this other company, I think the only problem is the bid expired in November, so we'll have to talk to them.
It's small potatoes.
And if
I
it,
mean, it's-
if it comes back and
If you have them rebid, Jim, ask them to remove the sales tax off the bid.
remove the what?
We're tax exempt. They have sales tax attached to this bid. The $175.99 sales tax, it needs to be
That'll bring the
removed.
price down.
Yeah, it'll
We'll
move it down
be lower.
quite
Well,
a
that
bit.
makes sense, a cheaper one, isn't
Yeah,
it?
they're cheaper. That would be cheaper than,
Anyway, that's my recommendation, is that we go with the Action action overhead door. That door that's down there at the shop in the water plant is one of those old overhead doors with the spring-loaded single arm. They're really not very safe, and that one is dilapidated. The frame's
That's
kind of
bad.
coming apart. We don't use that door very much, but, you know, it's kind of like, I know it's not safe, and if I don't do something about it, then I'm kind of
Complacent.
guilty.
That catches my eye. I mean, if you know something's not safe and you don't do something about it.
Yeah,
then
and you know,
it
those
becomes part of it.
those old doors, that stored energy in those big springs is dangerous.
Because I was gonna throw out there, what kind of bang for our buck are we getting out of
Is
this
there a-
door? How many times it's been opened in the last 6 years? I mean,
Is there
you
a
know.
warranty
Well,
with it?
With this, you know, I don't remember that. Tell you the truth. I don't
Lonnie,
know.
we're probably not gonna open it.
To answer your question, we probably opened it 10 times in the last 6, 8 months.
Well, it'd only take one time to hurt somebody, so there you go.
Yeah,
That's
well,
done.
you know, at one point there was stuff getting stored in there, and we've cleaned it all out. There's not, Santa Claus not in there anymore, so. But, that's my recommendation, go with action door.
We got a motion and a second.
I'm sorry?
2,300?
Yes, that's without the tax.
Without the tax.
2358.
Is that a windstorm?
Yeah,
approved
it
one?
does stay
That's a
windstorm.
But it's small. It's not as big as ours.
Yeah. It's a 7 foot by, it's probably on here, 12.2 by 7 foot. It's a
Yeah, it's not
odd
big.
sized door. And there'll be a roll up,
I
not
thought
a
that-
roll up, but a panel
Yes.
door
Like
on
a
track.
Regular garage door.
Okay, cool.
I thought that too, because I thought it ought to have been 4,000.
Yeah.
They're high.
So it's good. But anyway, we're trying to, that's just part of our cleanup, everything.
Any more discussion?
No,
What?
just, I was gonna
I was
say
gonna
aye.
say, all right. All in favor of choosing action door for the water plant? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We're gonna move on to our discussion item, and it's gonna be about Christmas in the park, and I'm gonna have Roger lead that, since he was the main person in charge.
I want to say thank you to everybody that participated, from people coming up here early cooking, the people that put in several weeks of coming up here and decorating the outside area, the inside area. We had a great turnout. There was comments from some of the residents about how classy it was. The cakewalk was the highlight of the whole ordeal, besides the kids winning prizes.
I like that.
We had several boys' bikes, girls' bikes, basketballs, footballs. Also had the water coupon. It just turned out really phenomenal, the way everybody helped set up, the way everybody helped clean up. And just look for another success like that, or even better for next year.
I'll go ahead and read into the record the overall expenses. The reusable one-time purchase was $18.46 Food spent was $309.53. We also, in all our packets, we actually have a spreadsheet of who spent what, and it's broken down, so if anybody has any questions, we're more than happy to share that with you. Anything else?
I would say that any event that we have out here is not a bad idea to have people donate stuff, because I personally enjoyed the kids getting the bicycles and basketballs or volleyball, whatever they got, you know, whatever, it didn't
It was
matter
hard
how.
to read some of the names.
Well, it didn't matter how small the item was, you know,
Everybody was
they were
excited.
happy that they won something, you know?
Yes.
So I don't know how, if you could go out for donations on any event that you have out here and have a little section, you know, roped off for a giveaway, and let them do like they did and get a ticket and sign up. The way you did that was perfect, because they only signed up for the one that they wanted to be drawn on. So
Yes,
that,
this way, one child, one gift.
yeah,
That,
'cause you had
so that
little
worked.
bitty bikes. You didn't have big kids winning little bitty bikes, or, you know, little bitty kids winning big bikes. I mean, so it worked out good.
Yeah, and one of the things I recap on is, the items that we have now, we're able to reuse.
Right.
time after time and just add more to it. Whether or not we make them ourselves or we get donations to add to the outside area to make it even better for the kids. Bud was able to get a jump house out here. The kids loved that. They were playing on that for hours. So it was wonderful all the way around, and kudos to the whole team.
Here's a question, and I'm happy everything actually went well. I was actually at work. Moving forward, is there like a committee for this yearly activity? That's my first question. No? And my second question, to make it even better, because she asked me to, see could I get some donors. With that, I'm pretty familiar with getting donations from major corporations. However, there's a timeline. So that's why I asked the question about, do we have something set in place or people set in place as far as a committee?
I say that we need to start about 4 months prior to the event.
Well, as far as asking for donations from, like, we spend our money at Market Basket.
Mhm.
We spend our money, some spend their money at Walmart. I promise you, if we go to them and let them know what it's for, it won't be hard pressed, and you'll be surprised. Even this corner store that we even Dollar General, there's a form, but it has to be sent in a certain amount of time. I'll get that to you guys.
Republic will also do it.
Yes.
And a lot of us probably have a really good relationship with Mr. Rick at King's.
Yes.
You know,
Yes, most definitely.
when I was having to get up like 3 o'clock in the morning to go to work, which I haven't had to do that in a long time now, I would stop in the morning and I'd have a lot of chit chats with him, so I got to know him on a
Yes.
really good personal basis. So yeah, that's a great idea. I love it.
Okay, so just take that into consideration moving forward with any event that
We'll
we
put
have.
you in charge of donations. You just volunteered.
And so on the Christmas in the park, would that, so Barbara was the one that was usually hitting that up. This was her last year of doing it, so does it go to the event committee section now, or do we keep
It
that?
goes to you. You got volunteered.
I got volunteered, okay.
The new people on council, that should be their first event, Christmas in the park.
Hey, but I
Trial by
did it. Yeah, I'll take care of that, not a problem.
Any other discussion regarding Christmas in the park? If not, we can move on to our reports. Bud, do you have a report?
Well, I talked to Precinct 1. We got some roads out here that are in need of repair, okay? And what that's going to take is finding out when they're going to be in the area with their equipment because Chimney Rock needs to get fixed, Thousand Oaks needs to get fixed, the end of the boulevard needs to get fixed, and there's a couple of other spots, little small spots that need to get fixed. Now, we have money in the road fund now that we can apply to the county to buy material, and then if we can get them to furnish the labor and the equipment like they did on Shipley, then we could possibly get this stuff fixed, maybe. I mean, if we just tell them, hey, look, we only got this much money, but we need these roads fixed, and then if we have to prioritize them, we will. But there's some roads out here that are in need of repair, and that's gonna be probably a couple of months of figuring and planning and finding out what their schedule is when they're not gonna haul 18-wheeler of stuff out here, big equipment, to do a couple of blocks of road. You know, it would be too costly. But if last time they were right there on Keith Road, on their way back, they came through here and they did that stretch on Shipley for us, about a mile, actually. So, I mean, that worked out great. We use this rock over here. It's not the best rock in the world, but it's rock, and it's a lot better. Trust me, it's a lot better than what's on Chimney Rock right now, because it's turning into a wagon train road. So if we can get something put on that road over there, and then possibly fix Thousand Oaks, that'd be a big jump, you know, to help us out. As far as the drainage is concerned, DD6, I've talked to them. We have a guy that comes out here all the time and looks at the ditches out here. He's responsible for this area, kind of like a patrol officer or whatever you want to call it, and he rides through and checks the ditches and when they need to be cut, and you know, gets it on the schedule, and you know, to come through and mow. As far as DD6's ditches being dug out, I called them about the one on Sweet Gum that hasn't been addressed. That's the only one that hasn't been addressed, is the one on Sweet Gum going toward River Bend, where it's grown up because we didn't get access to that, a right-of-way, okay? So, an easement. So we didn't get access to that easement, so we were shut down there and they left, okay? But when they left, we were told that they were going to take that property, you know, by whatever means they had to do, and finish that job over there and get that ditch cleaned out and get the right-of-way so that they could maintain it with a piece of equipment. I called them and I left a message with Jason, which is over the whole part of the getting everything done. And I told him, I said, look, I just don't want you to be waiting on us. Is there anything that Bevil Oaks can do to make this happen? Or is this all in y'all's ballpark where y'all are having to do legal stuff to be able to make this happen? So, waiting on a response there for that. But that's really the only DD6 issue that I know of right now that needs to be addressed. The county, you know, everybody wants their ditches dug out in front of their houses, and so be it. But we've got, let's just say we got 11 miles of roads out here. I think it's a little bit more than that. And if you double that, that's 22 miles of ditches. And they came out for a week and did a couple of blocks. Okay, so if you do the math on that, it's going to be years before they could ever get 22 miles of ditches dug out, you know. So we're going to have to prioritize, which I think they're already people turning work orders in to the city for their ditches, and then we have to prioritize that work to get the worst ones first.
So on the ditch that runs from Sweet Gum to River Bend, is it just because of the way it drains there due to the actual properties, the way it is? Or is there a way that it can actually be piped where they go in and gonna have to tear up some yards to get in there to do it, and that way, you know, there's not a continuous in there to maintain it?
You know, most cities have gotten away, and even the county has gotten away from allowing you to pipe your whole yard, because open ditches flow a lot more water than pipes, okay? So they don't, I can just speak for them and say there's no possible way they'd pipe that ditch, because that ditch needs to fly out of here, and if it needs to be full to the top and running over and getting out of here, that's what it needs to be doing. So the problem there is the easement problem. Okay, we ran into that issue with the easement. We got it, and then we didn't have it. So, and they had the big machine, walked it across the road on tires. They're sitting there, promised to fix the fence, do whatever the guy wanted, put gates up, you know, whatever you want, you name it. We just want to be able to drive a machine down here and mow this thing three or four times a year to where we don't have to weed eat it. Go in there and manually have to do stuff. So that's where we're at with that ditch. But that's the only one. The rest of them are done. So, and they're maintained, and they're accessible, and they're spraying the ones that they can't get into. You've seen the 6-wheeler going around out here with a sprayer. Terrence is the guy that drives that. I mean, they're doing a great job.
I'm just wondering if they're under the misguidance of they think they're losing their property. They still own the property, it's just an access.
It's just an access. They still own it. They're not
They
giving
just
up
can't
any
build
rights.
anything in that right of way to block it.
They can't build anything.
Build it, yeah, so it can be maintained. And I think they don't maybe there's a little confusion.
No, they realize
about
it.
that.
We explained that
That's
thoroughly.
something that we went through.
DD6 can take it by force, basically.
Yeah, that's what's gonna have to happen there, because it's just not one party, it's just between two family members that own it. It's an inherited property. So that is gonna one says, do it, and the other one says, no. And so it's a no. So that's where that ditch is at. And that's been asked, that question's been asked a lot, you know, about that ditch. And, you know, we have reached out to DD6. They're not waiting on Bevil Oaks,
Yes, I
okay?
think Bud, you and I tried to get that easement, what, 3.5 years ago?
We got it, but
And then
we
we
lost
didn't
it.
get it. Yeah, back and forth. But anyway, let's, Roger, you have any, just business? Anything else?
That was his report.
That was my report. I ain't got nothing else. The grass cutting, no, the houses. He's gonna have the rest of that stuff hauled off here pretty soon on the other 2 houses, but he's gonna still gotta dress those properties up over there to get them prepared to be mowed in the spring. If so be it, if they're not sold, you know, then they're gonna have to be maintained once a month. We're gonna have to go back in on his contract and do him like we did on the other vacant properties that well, not vacant properties, but we have some, what do you call it, where they tore the house down and, you know, the city owns it now.
Green space.
Yeah, so he does that, so we're gonna have to add these into his contract for him to mow it, but we got room for that, because he doesn't charge much a month just to run over
When
the
does
lawn.
his contract expire, Bud? Do you remember?
Huh?
Do you remember when Keith's contract expires?
He has a 3-year
3-year
contract out here.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, we jumped on that because of the price.
We like him a lot.
I mean, you know, and he's gonna be out here all year. He'll be out here in December. That's why I told Jeff, if you need anything done over there, tell me, and I'll tell Keith. I'll go over there and meet him and show him what we need done, and he did it for over here, you know, did what he could, and then it got covered up with leaves, so, I mean, can't control Mother Nature, so. But he did come over and mow it, you know, before the thing, so. Cut a few limbs and stuff like that, so. That's where we're at with that. Is there anything else? I don't think I'm over anything else. That's it.
That's it, Roger? That's Christmas in the Park was your report?
Yes.
Okay. Lonnie?
I just have one concern I would like to address. I have a constituent that came to me and they reported a water leak on the city side of their residence about several months ago. And it just got fixed. It was on the wayside. And yes, so I just want to know, like, because that water has been running. Has that been a cost to us
No.
for those several months? No?
Other than a pump running.
No, we have addressed it, Jim's.
Is that Danny's?
With our contractor as
Yeah,
well.
it's fixed.
Okay.
Yeah, he's addressed it. We have pulled in
Yeah.
the head contractor guy, Elder, we talked to Jim, and Sabrina gave him
Okay.
an earful, and so he understands where we're coming from, and it's unacceptable. So it won't happen again.
Good deal.
Other than a pump maintaining the pressure on that line, it really doesn't cost the city anything but a little bit of electricity.
Very good.
Well, you know, the problem was we had a work order back to September on that.
Yeah.
That was, we may actually, well, I'll wait till you get through.
Okay, Jeff.
Go ahead.
So, we made a change in our follow-up on some of those every other Wednesday for our meeting. Heather gives me a outstanding work order report, so we're able to sit there with the superintendent and look at what work orders are not done. And that 2 weeks ago when we did that one was right on the top, so it jumped out. Plus Danny had been in there.
Yeah.
He came in there that day we were having the meeting. I saw him come in and I wrote down Danny's water leak on my little notepad.
Yeah, he did.
He came in there and I said, Danny, yeah, we got you right here on my list.
Yeah,
But it was on the list. But that's one change that'll kind of keep the priorities going. The other, real quick,
Real quick.
well, you took 30 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take at least
You ain't got no
15.
room to talk.
I got at
Keep
least
going,
15.
I got ground to
We got all
cover.
night.
Though. He ain't got no ground to cover.
See, you're slowing me down now. I'm getting mad. I'm gonna really talk
I
down.
voted to your garage door.
You already voted for a garage door. You were,
We
we're
can
just
actually
picking
bring
who's
that
gonna do
back to the table if we want to re-vote on the garage door.
it. We've already voted on the garage
We can
door. That was
redo it.
done back in September. We were only picking who was gonna do it. In my 2 years plus, this is the first time as of last Monday that every person out here had a working water meter.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's
Good job.
Yeah, and we have a surplus, we have an inventory now, probably about 20. Now, you saw that the cost of those meters on last month's report when they all came in, we paid for them, but we probably lost anywhere to $6,000 to $8,000 last year because of the shortage in meters, and we just couldn't get them.
That's
There's the
putting,
cost of our website.
that's
There
putting
you
it
go.
very, that's putting it
Absolutely.
very mildly.
That's awesome.
But
I mean,
the,
that's just a guess.
but the water department doesn't pay for websites.
They could.
That's our only source.
Well, we'll talk about that. The other one is as you know, that every municipality's having to do this lead copper line check, and we are in the process of doing that, and that is costing us a little money to do it. We're separating that, and you'll be able to see that in the cost of.
But we are rocking and rolling with it.
Yeah, how
Almost
many have
done.
we done, do you know?
I think you're about
we've
halfway
done-
there.
We've done well over 100 so far.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're about halfway
And
there.
I sent in another 32 just yesterday.
good, yeah.
So they.
And you're
they
gonna
turned
tell me
in
when-
Another 30 this week, and then we sent them another 32. So we're keeping them.
And you're gonna let me know when they're on my street, right?
No,
We'll make you guess.
no, you'll see a little guy.
I'll know, cause he's gonna be out there digging at my house.
You'll know, yeah.
Mine's
We're
buried.
not contacting you, we've already done that, said that expect somebody in your yard
Yeah.
at some point. But,
I got dogs.
well, he's
Your
got,
dogs are sweet dogs.
we've authorized euthanasia.
My dog almost
We don't
ate
put
the
that in
guy.
the notes.
He was in my yard.
Yeah, the mayor's dog.
Euthanizing the water guy or the dog?
Both.
Both. Yeah,
There's
he
been a
came out of
couple
his
I wanted
slides and
to.
everything, jumped over the fence.
Anyway, that's pretty much it. If you'll notice, I don't know if y'all noticed in the book on the proposed website, but there was one of the examples in there had a water tower. Did
Yes.
y'all notice it had my name on that water tower?
Absolutely,
How do you think it got there?
Huh?
How do you think your name got there?
because he's special.
Jim's gonna get him a water tower, y'all.
We mentioned your name during that proposal. I said, if we could just get Jim's name on that water tower.
Yeah.
Now, Bud had showed me a water tower, and I had written my name on it, and I just showed him mine. I was like, "Mine got-"
The first time I had that printed up, I put in memory of Jim
Oh,
Wright. And then I
no.
said, ooh, no. And I put Jim Wright on there.
That ain't quite
Okay.
right, bud.
Anyway, otherwise, the water's, we're rocking and rolling. We're doing a little cleanup and touching. Hopefully, we're gonna get some grant money to do some big things, so we'll see.
Well, you've done a good job with the water plant.
We had our superintendent out for a while. We got a little bit behind, and we kind of had to have a little come to Jesus meeting with a few people.
But Larry's reigned them all back in now.
I don't know if y'all have noticed, but our monthly cost, which could change tomorrow, has gone down. Okay, I'm just gonna say it's
Yeah,
gone
knock
well
on
down.
that wood, keep knocking on the wood.
If you
I know.
recall, about 6 months ago, I bragged
All
on
right,
the water
Jeff, you want
plant
to go ahead and do
operation.
your
We had breaks like
report
crazy.
so we can hopefully adjourn this meeting?
Sure.
Thank you.
So, our next event is coming up. It's our New Year's Eve Spectacular. It's up on the city's website. We've posted some pictures from last time. All of the food, I'm going to say probably 80% of the food has been donated already. We're going to advertise that it's like the hot dogs and the chili, it's going to say, or it's been told that it's going to be as supplies last, because I don't want to have a whole lot of anything left over. We still have some from 4th that we're going to be using, some supplies, some materials. The fireworks will be delivered probably a couple of days after Christmas. And we may end up scaling it back just a little bit, and then that'll put our 4th of July show even less than. So we're going to try to maybe scale back. We've already ordered the fireworks. That's from Chad. And so it'll be the same as it was last year. But we're probably not going to use them all, so that we'll have a smaller order to place for the 4th of July.
Are we be getting the fireworks locally?
From Chad Westbrook, yes.
Is that at Bevil?
No,
No.
no, she won't deal with us, because we're doing it on the same day. we had that discussion with her. I've probably 3 or 4 times asked for, and I've even supplied my list of fireworks with cost to see if perhaps she could match it. And she said the only way they would do that is if we would put it on a different day. That's for the 4th of July, because it's a direct competition with them. So unfortunately, that won't happen. We are buying them from someone who has fireworks stands in Chambers County. So it's not like we're going, it's still fairly local,
It's
but
just not taxpayers.
no.
Well,
No,
we're
and
tax exempt anyway,
Yeah, we don't,
so it doesn't matter.
but they're not getting the money from, we're not getting the money from their taxes.
Right.
So, but it's a trade-off. I want to do the best I can with the money that I've been trusted with. This event, probably just under $3,000. So, with that new requirement to bring this to council, anything over 2,500, I'll keep this under $3,000 or at $3,000 or no, not to exceed $3,000 with this council's permission, if that's what I'm supposed to be doing right now.
Have you already purchased firecrackers?
I haven't written a check for it,
Okay.
so
I mean, that's easy. When that comes in, just drop it in the folder.
So this is a new procedure, since we're anything over $2,500, I've got to bring it to council. So what is the correct procedure? Do we need a thumbs up, thumbs down? What do we do?
Correct procedure is not during the discussion, be on the agenda, but I, as mayor, will say that I will give you permission to go 3,000, if it's okay with council. Because, I mean, this is not really a time
Now, wait a minute. You
to-
just said that as mayor, you were going to give
I mean,
him
it's-
permission.
Well, I mean, because last
That should
year,
be
I
a
mean,
statement.
well, it
And
is-
then you
okay.
said, if it's okay with
I still want to
council.
have your permission, Bud, because, you're my best friend.
Bless her.
But the whole thing is, I mean, because last year, we learned a lot, and he's correct. I mean, everything $2,500 and below, we don't need to get permission, but if he's budgeting 3,000, then he's asking for permission, and I'd like to give him permission. So let me restate what I'm asking you guys to do. I would like to give him permission. Are you guys okay with that?
Well, it's not
Even though
on
this
the,
is not the proper forum, it's not normally
it's not
done
on
in
the agenda.
reports.
It's not,
It's not on the agenda, but it's in
She's
his
making an
report.
exception.
Can we make an exception for him?
I would say that would be a mayor's decision at that point, at this point, because the council can't vote on it.
Yeah, it wasn't on the agenda, so.
Wasn't this budgeted?
It was budgeted.
It was already budgeted.
It's budgeted,
So it's
and
budgeted.
It was already
I,
agreed to.
I say
But-
that it's budgeted, and if the mayor says it's okay, then that's
But-
the mayor's
but he's
to
also
approve it.
stipulating-
If I'm not mistaken, the way we, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you go over 2,500, I think it's the mayor's approval plus one
Plus
other
council
council
member.
member,
Correct.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it doesn't have to come before council.
Correct, yeah, I just thought about it, I think it was the way we
But
had.
he's trying to be transparent on what he's.
Yes,
Well,
yes, so you was bringing it to council, I got you. I'm with
I don't think there's a problem with the mayor just saying it's okay.
Well, if you've itemized that when we approved
I'd have to
the
go back and
budget,
read it,
if
because I
that
don't
was an
know.
itemized thing approved during the
guessing.
budget, it's approved.
Okay.
Just like my garage door.
Yes, sir.
But what he's trying to do too is to keep anybody from saying, well, I didn't know.
Well,
I
we
didn't know
know,
what the dollar amount was.
But your
Yes,
garage
so-
door was
so I-
budgeted too, Mr. Wright.
What, so just
I
move
said your
forward.
garage door was budgeted
Yes.
too, Mr. Wright.
and I was gonna
Yeah,
vote
that's what I
against
mean.
it
Yeah,
too.
it was.
So
In
it was-
office.
I didn't have to bring that in here, but
Yeah.
and I question whether I
Anything
need
else,
to or
Jim?
not.
So that's,
What the hell, I don't have to do it
Don't ever
tomorrow.
open it.
I think that's really all
Nailed it
that
shut.
that I have on my report, because that's the next thing coming up on our events.
And the
All
only
right.
thing that I ask is for New Year's Eve, do one of these sheets too.
I have always provided that.
Yeah, so that way in January, we can include it in city council's packet.
Yeah, just
So,
put my stuff that I've already put in,
exactly.
because that's 100%.
I'm gonna make a
Can I-
motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I have to make the motion.
No, you don't.
Yes,
You
I do.
can't make a motion.
I
You
want to make a
can't even
motion.
make a motion.
All in favor?
We gotta have a second.
I'll
first.
second it.
Oh, no.
I made a motion, Jim seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Man, he's trying to do my job.
You can't make a motion.
Merry
Good to see you,
Christmas.
Kathy.
Happy holidays to
Have
you
one
as
for
well.
me.
Are you
have
buying?
two for me.
I will.
Take it
Kathy,
with you,
are
Kathy,
you buying?
please.
Fine.